You're muted.
And we are live. Welcome to the Killer Be Killed podcast. I am Damian along with my good buddy Josh, and you're listening to the most unlistened to podcast on the interwebs. So yeah, dude, good to finally see you again. Yeah. So I think vacation was good.
Vacation was great. Yeah. And then holiday was good as well. So
Yeah, I said it was the holiday was good for us. It's actually, that's like the low-key holiday. It's just us four, and then my mom will stop by or whoever. But really, Christmas and Christmas Eve is like kind of like that's the big shindig. What did you guys do for Thanksgiving?
My family went out to Florida to go do it with my sister and brother-in-law, and I stayed here because I had to work. And then I went over to a friend's house.
Right. Did you ever catch up with them or no?
Catch up with who?
Your family, like Thanksgiving Day, you were working and then
No. I just went to a friend's house for Thanksgiving.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I said it's just us four. What are you doing for Christmas?
Christmas, I always have like very strict Christmases at my house. If anybody wants to hang out, they got to come to me. Like Thanksgiving, I'll go wherever, but Christmas, always at the house.
Right.
So
we, it's the, especially, well, I said now it's just, it's weird. Like our family, they get older, you spread out, and people aren't talking to whoever.
Oh, you muted again, Damian.
My mic.
Oh, there you go.
Muted. I don't know why it keeps doing that to me. It hates me. This whole platform hates me. Yeah. So we go to a good friend of ours has the night before on the 23rd, which is why we're only doing this week and next week, and we're going to miss 2 weeks before Christmas because where it falls, and then the holiday. And then we do Christmas Eve, which is, it depends. I think this year is going to be a little small, maybe probably around 30 to 40 people.
Ooh, that's pretty big still.
Yeah, but it's like, I said, like, we'll probably have like 30 core for like food and dinner and hors d'oeuvres and stuff. And then when our kids' friends start rolling in, I don't even count them because, they're just coming in, they're boozing, they're bringing whatever, and they're having a good time. So it's like, we'll get like we got a small tent coming, and then to your point, like Christmas, it's just us. We're in like our pajamas all day. Wife makes like some like breakfast casseroles and crap, and we throw them in there, and then we just really just don't do anything. And it's nice. So yeah. So all good. And then so let's get into one of the hate mails I wanted to get into. It actually brought up a topic that I actually wanted to discuss. And so share screen. There we go. Share. Okay, so this is for one of the bodyguard ads for the body armor. It's like, I'm grateful you guys are there, and it's sad that this is the world we live in. And then, amen. Feels like an ad you'd see in a dystopian movie for sure. And my comment is like, we either adapt or not. There's always been violence. Compared to 100 years ago, you're still way better off. I would even argue that the 70s and the 80s were way more violent, and the crack-fueled 90s, forget about it.
You make a really good point, because like people forget how violent like things have been historically. You know what I mean? Like, you talk about like the gangs of New York. We talked about this, I think, like a couple podcasts ago, the gangs of New York, right? Where it was like the cops wouldn't even drive into the towns because it was just so violent.
It's
people
Yes.
People forget that like even in the 1800s, violence was rampant, right? You know, there's a story of President Jackson, right? You
Mhm.
know, that dude was a boss, and like he's walking down the street in, I don't know if he's in DC or if he's somewhere else, but he's walking down this street and he gets mugged and he proceeds to beat the mugger with his cane
Right.
senseless. They
Right.
like drag him off the guy, right? We're talking about the president of the United States getting mugged, right? Here's a guy who's like a well-known figure, like for his
Right.
time, right? Acclaimed general, et cetera, and the dude gets mugged, right?
But right. Right. It's because again, we're like hearing a lot of things, and yeah, obviously, the uptick of mass shootings. But if you go back to the 90s and what was happening, let's just say in Compton, California, in that area, I mean,
Oh wait, isn't that where I grew up?
right. I'm like, all those gang-related drive-bys and things like that would have been classified as mass shootings. And I knew dudes who my buddy, one of his cousins was an ER doctor. It was an army doctor, and they would go to emergency rooms in LA and train on the weekends and train. So
So people don't realize like when you're going through like to become an army doctor or like a PJ or like, special forces medic and stuff like that, they send you to high crime areas to do your training. So you get real world experience on bullet wounds and stab wounds and things like that.
Right. Right.
That's been going on for decades.
Forever. And, you go back to, I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. And then in the 90s, when I was in my 20s going into New York, it was a shit show. Listen, I hate going in, and, I hear stories from guys now. I go in maybe once, twice a year. I just don't like going in. I'm like, I can get just as good food out here. I don't care. Right. And plus, they did shit like, they have a thing called it's not a commuter tax. It's like a congestion tax. So they scan your plate if you go in certain areas, and then they just send you a bill.
Oh, it's like a toll road.
Right. Without being a toll road. So I got this bill for like, it wound up costing me like $20 because I got this bill for like $13. And then I call Easy Pass and I'm like, we paid this toll, because I thought it was when we went over the bridge, and then they send it back with the fine. They're like, no, this is the congestion tax for just driving the city. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, you can have this place. So anyway, so we would go in the 70s and the 80s when I was a kid, and again, like I said before, in the 90s, and there'd be like prostitutes all over the place coming out of Lincoln Tunnel. There's guys like washing your windows. There's crime. There's, when you said as a kid, I saw your mom on 42nd Street, you would get punched in the face, because that's where all peep shows and all kinds of, adult theaters and all this crap was going on. Now there's a, Warner Brothers store. There's a Starbucks at every corner, and it's nice. And that was all Rudy Giuliani, with the broken window. They cleaned up the city by writing everything.
Yeah,
they wrote everything. So you get people who are just like, they don't either know, they didn't experience it, or they don't really take the time to reflect historically, because they're thinking about the neighborhood that they grew up in. I don't,
I mean, the reality is, certain areas are always going to be safer than others, right? And if you're in one of those areas, you're not going to see the violence, you're not going to notice the unrest, and so then the big thing now is with social media, like it's all broadcast, right? And so now people are like, oh, the world's such a crap show. And it's like, nah, Detroit's always been like that. Chicago's always been like that. Compton's always been like that. you know?
Yeah.
It's like, welcome to the world though, where other people suffer.
Right. And you'll see, you'll get stuff. I mean, I think, some of the things with the active shooters, does like hit more schools and more targets that, normally wouldn't. But you look at overall violence per se is down.
Yeah.
The murder rate is actually down, but then that could be due to, advancements in triage technology like CLOCs and some other items that stop the bleeding and allow people to get there faster. People now have cell phones; they don't have to get on a payphone, so everyone's got communications. So there's response time is quicker, even though it still sucks. It's it's faster.
Right.
So when these people are just don't, they're thinking about it like, oh my god, but if they reflect back on history, even just 10, 20, even just 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I'm like, you're gonna see it was vastly different. I mean, New York was cleaned up for like from the 2000s till about what's happening over the last like since de Blasio, it kind of started to drop off, where there's just like an inordinate amount of homeless people and violence. I know people around that go into Penn Station that have to pass through a lot of crap. I've got a friend who was approached and almost assaulted. My buddy Pete goes to work in the city every week, and he sees it's like there's crap all over the place. He's like, I'm carrying my pepper spray and my jacket, and he's like, yeah, it's just it's brutal. But again, it's not like, I mean, the Bronx was literally burning in the 70s. Like they were like, you don't have no idea, what it looked like. It looked like downtown, Islamabad. I mean, it was just freaking destroyed. Building set on fire, rubble, and no hope. The city was going bankrupt. Right now, I'm like, this compared to then, nothing. So, yeah, I just, again, we're getting inundated with, every news report has a slant that, if it has to do with a gun, and if it's, one race, attacking a different race, then it gets blown up.
It's good though that like now there's all this reporting to a degree, because now people are more aware, instead of just like walking down their suburb being like, everything is totally safe. I don't lock my front door. I don't lock my car. Everything. You know what I mean? Like it's been like that for 2 generations. It's like now people are like, oh, stuff happens. I should probably, be a little bit more prepared.
Right. Well, exactly. And, and that's, that's literally all we're saying. And it does stop a lot of crap, just again, you can't just walk out and think that bad things don't happen.
Yeah.
And that's, people don't want to think about that. I'd say like the vast majority of people would just ignore it, because if they didn't, more people would be prepared and there would be less chances of someone finding a victim.
Yeah, for sure.
So this one, I don't know, this is just funny. This on the Protectors Wanted. I didn't even unhide it. It's like, tell everyone no digital ID and no to a cashless world. Okay, I don't fundamentally disagree with this, but why are you posting this here? This can't be a real person.
Oh, it's definitely a bot.
Yeah, I'm like, I just like, yeah, so when you're looking at this stuff, yeah, it's anyway, I don't know. Don't pay attention to that, people. That's not real. So okay, so this is again to the body armor ad. LOL, Republicans are so scared of everything. Turn off Fox. My comment is like things an oppressor would say. So, it's like,
I mean, that's funny when they say stuff like that, because it's like, aren't they the ones screaming in the street about how scared they are about everything that's happening?
Yeah, aren't they upset about gun control?
Yeah.
And gun violence. So there's no gun violence. Okay. Oh, wait. Then what are you saying? So if we're scared of nothing, then there's nothing, right? Right. So you can't have one argument without the other.
Yeah.
If you said, yeah, it's because you're effing Republicans, again, somebody who doesn't want to get shot immediately is Republican. Somebody, I guess, who does want to get shot is Democrat.
I mean, somebody who I guess doesn't want to protect themselves, doesn't want to get shot, doesn't, you know what I mean? Like they do want to get shot, they don't want to protect themselves, they want everything done for them. Yeah, I guess that's
yeah.
the wrong mind. That's the wrong. I'm not gonna say it's one side or the other, but it's the wrong mindset.
Right. Right. So, every time to get into this with this person, I'm like, so there's not a gun problem. Is that what you're saying? And people don't get shot. No, well, it's very low, or I mean, compared to not everyone walking out of their house is getting shot. Clearly, that is that is a fact.
And it goes back to something we've talked about lots of times, where like depending on where I'm going, I'm gonna upscale my EDC, I'm gonna upscale my protection, I'm gonna upscale my awareness based on where I'm going.
Right. Exactly. It's funny. We went through Christmas tree lighting. The other day, and I'm armored and armed. I'm like, yeah. It's like, why? We are in a nice town with a shit ton of people and a crowd. I'm like, yeah. So guess what? I'm not drinking tonight. I'm like, carrying my fucking gun. I mean,
I went to like some event last year in Utah, like a bunch of LDS people, probably like totally chill crowd, but I'm like, I'm carrying, I've got my knife, you know what I mean? Like I'm upscale, and I'm like talking to people, and I'm in this massive crowd, and I'm like talking to my friends' friends, and they're like, yeah, like I really like to, get my concealed carry and like learn how to use it and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I'm carrying right now. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, we're in a crowd. That's why you're talking about it, right? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I be?
Right.
And I'm like, and by the way, here's my card. Come get some training.
Yeah, exactly. That's it's like, yeah, I really will. When would you carry it? Now, everywhere I'm going out, I put it on. And that's it. It's only if I have to go to a school, but I carry anyway. Fuck them. I mean, I'm like, I was at my son's basketball games. I'm carrying. Like, you're out of your mind. I
shouldn't say that on camera.
He's out now. Who cares? What are you gonna do? Prove it.
That's true.
Hello,
Steve.
Yes. Hey, Steve. What's going on, man? So, So, anytime there's, we're going out, anytime there's a crowd. I mean, anytime I'm going shopping, I mean, it's just like wherever there's, especially now when places are more congested, people are out. You're definitely not paying attention as much. You're thinking about all the crap you got to get. You're over, you're trying to get it in before the end of the year. Everybody's got year-end stuff.
Holiday season for sure, man. People are all amped up.
Yeah. And, then on the other side of it, Steve's a First Amendment auditor. I don't know what that is, Steve.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you describe that to us? I don't
know what that please.
It's like one of those people that like goes and does the videos, like where they're recording, and then people are like, they're like, you can't film here, and then they're like, yes, I can. Is that like that?
Yeah, I do follow those guys because I do like that stuff when they go into like police station.
I don't mind it, but it's like every video is the same, and they very rarely show the videos where the people walk up and they're like, hey, welcome.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Right. So yeah, he records in public. Yeah. So you got it. Yeah. Right. Cool. Right. And I don't like the ones where the guys who are recording are impolite or antagonistic.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're just trying to get views at that point,
Yeah. So yeah, because that kind of gets obnoxious. But yeah, I mean, it's like we can. Okay, Steve is let me audit you. Okay, cool. You post your channel up there, dude. That's cool. Go right
ahead. Yeah, you should definitely get some Bodyguard backpack armor.
Right. Or at least a jacket, dude.
At least a jacket. Yeah, you could definitely use that, Steve. If you haven't already, you need that.
You never know, man.
You should probably take a fast course at a minimum.
Yeah, it's like we just record people get idiots. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess. So yeah. So yeah. So what the hell were we just talking about?
Yeah, you've had 2 people pull guns on
Pull
me.
guns
Yeah,
on it. Yeah,
exactly. That's
sure, of
our
course you
point.
do.
That's
Yeah,
our point.
exactly. That's right. Just get a jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
At least you'll have it on.
If you're not an SCTS member, part of the SDC company, come join us. We
Right.
need it.
Start training.
I will give you a kickstart lesson too.
Right. Right. I know, dude.
And if you are already, welcome. Glad you're joining us.
Yes. Thank you. So yeah, that's right. It's good, but you're not bulletproof, brother. So keep that in mind. And then because that was the thing, and that's what had me start the company. If you don't know, there was an active shooter in 2013 down by us in Garden State Plaza, and all the crap that I'm doing. I'm like, my family, I go down to these places. I go, this is happening, and it had been happening, and I'm like, enough's enough. So that's when we started. Angela and I started messing around with it. Let me see what else we got here. Okay, no, we did that one, and no, that's my kids being home. I always snap that.
Thanks for sharing it.
No problem. So this is for the Bodyguard ad. I get, F ice. All right. I don't know what one has to do with the other, but it's got to be a bot,
For sure. Definitely a bot.
You're like, yeah, I don't know it. But then it's like, it's funny that the people that comment on it could be other bots.
Hey, they're giving you views and comments, which just promotes your stuff.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so this isn't the one that I love that we talk about a lot. No substitute for sparring. Of course, I'm like, yeah, it's green belt level comment. Actually, there is. While you get, physical conditioning and some stress inoculation, sparring is not self-defense. It actually creates some bad habits like pulling your punches and pacing, which do not belong in the street. In fact, this is like the opposite of sparring. Like if you try to do this while you're
gonna run out of partners real quick.
And it's just like you're just gonna go ballistic on somebody, and it's not really that. And I can't tell you how many times there have been people that, most people who defend themselves have like zero training whatsoever, and they're successful. So you'd be like, well, then why are you training? I'm like, because you want to be more efficient and have a plan so you don't mess up and actually do better than they do. Really.
Efficiency. Yeah, that's a big deal, especially when you're expending all your energy to try and survive.
Yeah, it's nuts. And they don't, when you're doing this stuff, it's like, and yes, Steve, I do believe you that you are not a bot. So, we get this again all the time where, and I understand the thinking, and I said there's some value to that for inoculation, but the problem is it's, when you do something too much, and we're not saying don't do that, because go right ahead. But when it comes to self-defense, we're just saying do this. But if all you do is sparring, then what you will do is spar. And what you will do is, depending on what type of sparring you're doing, it's going to be, it could be if you're point sparring, you're going to point spar. If you're grappling, you're going to grapple. If you're boxing, you're going to box. And,
is that not Carl Sestari's story, right? He's like a new cop. He gets involved in a riot, and he's like sitting there fighting these dudes, and the veterans just like knocking people out, walking through the crowd, right?
Right. Yes.
And Carl's like, what are we doing differently?
Right. He goes, I don't even know if I won or I lost. He goes, I don't know why you're fighting these guys.
Exactly. Why are you fighting people?
And I think it's funny because then they're like, we're also talking about, like, of course it's like $30, dude. We're not, if you training, like it's $30. It's not $350 a month, $200 a month. Like talking to my buddy who is whose family runs a very, very, very large karate studio. They have multiple franchises. He's like, he's got like, he goes, the gear alone just the gear alone just to start is $500.
Oh yeah. My
Right.
kids all the time are like, I need new gis. And me and my wife both just like, oh, stab us in the heart.
Right. Right.
Like, that's just a gi. Like, come on now.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But again, you got that fancy gi, man. I know. Dude, I spent like, again, I'm a big Taraki fan. That was my brand. That's my brand.
The next gi I'm buying is like a black one with pink stitching. That's the next one I'm buying.
Nice. Nice. I was just like, I mean, we had to get blue for competition because either white or blue, but I like white. And Steve's blowing this up. He's like, if you spar, you don't understand how to extend that into a fight. You shouldn't spar. Yeah, I'm like, it's so I said when we talk about self-defense, it's like the difference between like NASCAR and drag racing. It's like NASCAR or Formula One. There's like strategy, it's time. It's a drag racing. You just like pedal down and go as fast as you can.
Hope the car stays straight.
Right, and you're not sticking around. That's the other thing. I'm like, yeah, by the way, if you want to, there's awareness, there's avoidance, there's escape and evasion, and then there's control and domination. The first two you can do relatively quickly and easily, and not really even get involved. And that's what they're not understanding here. And if you want to do control and domination, yeah, dude, you got to train. You got to be in better shape. You got to put more time in. You got to be more aggressive. And yeah, you got to hit things. You got to, try to, abuse things and get freaking, get your hands dirty and get physical. It's not just, watching moves and doing karate in the mirror. So,
yeah.
That's where, I mean, most of the stuff, and this is the other, I was talking about this with my son today. I'm like, when most good studios, I don't care if it's wrestling, I don't care if it's BJJ, I don't care if it's judo, whatever. I mean, most good studios, literally only 10% of the time are you spent like sparring or free rolling. Most of it should be drills, drills, flows, fit-ins, movement, grip, tech, and just drilling like a flow and a chain over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's boring. Like, I mean,
do we have a YouTube channel? Yes, Steve. The YouTube channel is also live right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can, you're looking at, we would do, and I always use this example when I wanted to get good at Nippon Sanagi. Yonesuka's like, hey, man, he's like, okay, do it 700 times a day. I'm like, okay, and I did some of those with a partner, I did some of those on a, with a rubber band, or inner tube, tire. And then you just do over and over and over and over and over again until, guess what? By the end of the month, it got pretty good. Then I didn't have to do 700 times a day. Once you do the neural pathways are set up, now you're like, okay, you don't have to do it as much. But, when you're rolling, you'll get bad habits. And to be honest, it's a very lazy way to teach. Because it's really easy to be like, okay, get with a partner and then just walk around the class and be like, oh no, do this.
That is one of my few complaints for my kids' jujitsu place is like they'll like drill like 2 techniques for like 10 times each, and then it's like, all right, now we're gonna roll the whole rest of the class.
Yeah, and everyone loves
like,
it. It's okay, and it's
okay.
Just not.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'm watching the kids, and like their technique is bad.
Yeah, and you get bad habits, and you've got 1 or 2 guys only going around and seeing stuff once in a while. Yeah. And then they'll, correct it. And then that's it. Yeah. And then, okay, then after you correct it, dude, you got to drill it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay.
You do, I forget what the exact psychology is, but you do something wrong once, you have to do it like 12 times correct to override that time that you did it wrong.
Right. Right. And now there's a thing. It's like, you obviously can't, and this is what we talk about with self-defense. I'm like, you can't do like, practice for every, situation you'll be able to get out on the mat or what you're going to face. But by drilling, two things happen. As a Tory, as the person doing the move, you understand position, you understand, where you should be, advantage, at, getting your position of advantage, getting out of position. And as an uke is the one being demonstrated on, you're understanding, oh, now here's where my arm goes. Here's, when it gets past this point and I feel him doing this, now I should react and not like sleep on this.
Yeah, you're learning the opposite side, right? You know, like you're learning both sides of the technique.
Yeah, yes. And that's like, and so once you do that, it's really about knowing your position and knowing when your body is getting put in a place where you don't want it to go, because now you're feeling like, oh, I'm feeling pressure on the back of my neck. Okay, I gotta go. Or I'm feeling, pressure coming in under my arm. I'm like, oh, I gotta move.
Yeah. I can see now I can see what's coming because I'm used to seeing this, right?
Right. Right. And then you're getting, also from doing like the grip and the strangles and the submission so many times that when you don't have it locked in, you're not going to try to get it.
No, you're not going to spend your energy trying to force something that isn't going to work because you're like, I know my angle's not right. I know my placement's not right.
Exactly.
Let's let go and move on to the next thing, right?
Yep. As Steve said, body physics. Like, yeah, dude. It's like you understand, the mechanics of what's happening, and that's like with self-defense. It's like we boil it down to position and distance.
Yeah, and
that's it. We're where you are in relation to your target and how close they are to you. Yeah. And then once you understand that, it's like, okay, now I'm going to better my position, and I just, I'm going to take these handful of techniques and apply them to whatever. And that's, like I said, one of the things we're running is like, the ad is like, help me go broke. Yeah. And it's, I don't know if you saw it, but it's like, it's like, dude, I'm like, I can't charge you, thousands of dollars a month for this, because honestly, it goes, really, I go, in 30 days, you'll have something. I go, in 12 months, you could be an instructor if you wanted to. It's not like, it's like crazy complicated. It's not supposed to be. And once you understand, the basics, then you just apply them to any situation instead of being like, oh, he's grabbing my pinky. Oh, he's grabbing my ear. Oh, he's grabbing my wrist. Oh, he's grabbing my throat. Oh, he's doing this and he's doing that. And like, dude, you can't, how someone will attack you and where you would be. I mean, dude, we're like literally, I've been in like seminars where like people like teaching shit. Like, well, in case you're fighting on a rooftop. What?
What? Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. I don't know, it's like a rooftop. Like, okay, this is for
like second story assassins or something.
Yeah, man. I'm like, this is for when you're at the beach, or this is for when you're in the park. I'm like, whoa. I go, what? What about is there something different from my bathroom and my living room? I'm like, what? Holy crap, man. I couldn't even tell you the insanity that I've gone through, and all of these knuckleheads are commenting. They're all commenting, and that's what I love about it. I'm like, let me just make sure. Yeah.
No, just for people who are new to the channel, it's not that we don't think you shouldn't do combat sports and do a little bit of like rolling and some sparring or whatever. Absolutely. That's how you get engagement, right? But you need to know how to separate self-defense from that, right? And you do that, you only do it a little bit, just like you get used to the interacting with somebody else in a dynamic setting. That's it.
Right. So okay, so one more. So this is great. This is dangerous. Someone who has never had to fight or defend themselves isn't going to learn how to fight and defend themselves from books and videos. You're going to give the weak and vulnerable a false sense of security that can only end up tragically. What am I missing? So again, of course, I have a white belt comment, but I have something else here, because right underneath it, there's a dude from Norway. This is the real deal. I can tell you, lifelong experience, the very best self-defense tactical system as a whole that operates on the market today. So,
Yeah.
but you're like, I'm like, you look at the comment below. So, anyway, so I'm like, white belt comment. I'm like, you're missing the truth. I'm like, one, this is not martial arts. In fact, martial arts and what they teach for self-defense is pretty much useless. You're better off in a combat sport. Two, untrained people defend themselves every day. Melissa Bruin, Maurice Osborne. These I just did 2 of these for real true tales of self-defense. Not fighters at all. Melissa Bruin, defended herself against a much larger male attacker. Then self-defense is an instinct, not a sport or a style, and it should cost you thousands of dollars. I shouldn't cost you thousands of dollars. Sorry, I'm not writing. Like we've been doing this since 2007. Literally, have dozens of personal accounts of people who have defended themselves against violent attackers. I'm like, P.S. Is that a duck? I think I was commenting on his avatar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, this is like, that, thing. It's like you can't learn. So, I can't, put together. So I love first off, the premise that you can't learn from a book or a video is funny, right? You're like, it's like,
I mean, I've learned lots from books and videos.
I'm like, oh, let's burn all books and videos. I understand there's like, we'll get into, we got this before, where you're like, oh, you got to go train with somebody. Okay, who? Oh, anyone? Yeah. Anyone? Have you met
Not
anyone?
To mention, we offer virtual face-to-face sessions for people that need a little more.
We offer live training. You're really not getting this. You're really not even clicking on
even in-person training if you live locally.
Yeah, we do this all the time. So, oh no, what, you got to be like staring at me? You want to be like smelling me? No problem. I'll send you some old socks. You can smell me all you want. But there's this like need to like, again, it's been like ingrained. Oh, it's like 2 things that happen. What bothers me about these comments like this, and it totally pisses me off. Hey, Tom, good to see you.
Where are we, guys? Steve, we are all over. And if you go to the website and go to the instructor locator, you'll see a whole bunch.
Training.com and and start messing around there. You'll find instructor locator. Again, you can, send us, you can hit us up through the email. And through the email, I sound like my 87-year-old mom. You can hit us up through email and let us know where you are, and we can, put somebody in touch with you if that's what you need to. Again, but we also, anyone you're training with, we do require that you have a membership. You could get a program, or usually just get the elite program and get it over with, because that is your textbooks. Those are your textbooks. So all of our lessons are based on all the training and the modules. So it's essentially kind of like a cheat code. What you do is like, you go in, you're like, okay, we're doing module 1, units 1 through 10, something like that, and then you'll go through and you can review them and watch them, and then you go train, and then when you're done, you go review them. This accelerates your training tremendously. I mean, look, when we all went through this, a lot of us, it was, okay, we're doing this week. All right, great. You're not going to be the guy taking, if you're taking notes at a seminar, okay, starting to take notes in class becomes a little tedious, and you're not going to, you typically just don't run over and take notes. Or you wait to get in your car and try to write them down and remember what you did. So everything's there. Everything's done for you. You don't need to, you don't need to have to think about what what you just did. More importantly, you're not going to miss anything. So, we would like, we cover, let's say we cover you're training a typical class, and then, you do it 1 week, and then, you might not be there for like several months later. So or several weeks, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what level you are. I mean, it's all kind of personal and tailored to you. The good thing about the live training is that, we'll, exactly what your physical limitations are, and, we'll be able to adapt to it. I had an interesting call from someone who's like, I'm 72 years old. I can't do this. I go, can you do one thing? Yes. Well, you can do this. So I'm like, don't have to think. It's not like, you're training in a martial art and you have to do everything. You have to master everything. You must be good at everything. It's like, no, dude. It's like you need to pick what weapons work best for you. And now we're going to show you how to use those weapons against everything. And if it's, dude, you got, one or two things that you like, okay, great. Then add that, then you got a couple EDC, I feel comfortable carrying pepper spray. I don't feel comfortable, carrying brass knuckle or whatever. I'm like, fine, we can, we'll craft it so that you have legal methods on you to protect yourself.
Everybody should be like Tom. He trains more than anybody else I know.
Yes. Yes, right. Tom is an animal, by the way.
He is an animal.
Like, he's like,
I haven't met you, Tom, but I've heard plenty.
Yes, he's awesome. And yeah, man, I'm like, that is like, he's like, I would have like, given an award out. That's the Tom Orlado Award. Like, he's like I said, he's just like, heck, I'm 72. I'm working out right now. Walking stick and my CCW and my elbows. Yeah, I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, again, main thing is to have a like Steve. That's right. You have a stacked level of self-defense, and you don't have, because you always have fallback and redundant systems. And I love that you said you carry pepper spray or pepper gel with you, and your stick and your CCW, because you need options. Like if I'm going out, I've got edge weapons. I've got an impact weapon. I've got my pepper spray. I got my armor, and I got my CCW. So, most things I want to, I don't want to, like if everything, like the old saying goes is like, if all you had was a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? If you're just going out and strapping on your gun, all you have is your gun. And then it's going to force you to possibly use that before you use the other items, which you could possibly do. And to be honest with you, I just rather use somebody and just go on my way and call it a day. I don't care. I'd rather, oh my God, I gotta hire, if I shoot somebody or hit somebody, I gotta hire a lawyer, and I gotta do all kinds of crap. And it's not that I say I'm not going to do it, because, all this stuff is for everything, is exhausted. Like, I don't want to fight. I want to be left alone. Go. I don't have anything. I don't have any money on me. I got nothing. That's it. I'm broker than you. And this watch is fake. God, whatever. And then if you're boxing me in, then I'm gonna do what I need to do. So yeah, it's like 3 years of recording people in public. The only person I drew on was a crazed man charging me with a sledgehammer. Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. I'm assuming he stopped. So that said, let me see if I got something, because I want to show something before we call it a day. Okay. So this is, let me see if this is the right one. Okay, so I've been seeing some of these. I know, I'll share. Stop breaking my balls. That's a nice line, dude. Thank God he dropped the hammer before I did. Yeah, that's a tough game time decision, man. So here we go. Okay, so real or clickbait?
All the women and teens out there that take Ubers and taxis everywhere just was made aware of a new danger that's going on. You might want to listen up. So one of the new things now they're doing is as soon as you get in the vehicle, they will try to offer you a water. And a lot of times what they've done is they have taken a needle and they have injected the bottle with just a little bit of fentanyl or whatever it is they decide to use to try to make you lethargic and or knock you out of some type. So due to this fact, I would advise you that when you get into a vehicle of any type that is not your own vehicle and that you don't know the person that you're getting in, do not take any food or any drink that they offer you, because right now, nowadays, it's just not safe, and you don't know if they've laced it with something. And again, they can put it in with a needle. A lot of times now what they're saying is to be able to test it, and if somebody gives you...
All right. So we kind of get the gist here. So, what they're saying is, you're getting into a ride share and there's water there and they've dosed it with, fentanyl or something to put you out. As a general rule, I don't take any food or drink from anybody that I don't know, that I don't understand the chain of custody. My kids are the same way. My daughter especially, very okay. So especially having a daughter, there's not a drink that she doesn't know, either watched it get made or has, opened the bottle herself. So that's just whether this is happening or not. I looked it up. I can't find any cases of this happening. And, cops fall for the same stuff too. As far as urban myth, I remember a buddy of mine who is a local cop was telling me that, there were people that were hiding under cars, slashing your ankles with a razor blade and then coming out and abducting you or doing something. I'm like, never happened. They get reports of stuff too. And, they'll just put everything out there anyway to kind of get you, paying attention. But, I think it's, one of those kind of clickbaity things. But, at the same time, you don't take candy from strangers.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's happened or not, it's still just a good policy to not do that,
right?
So,
yeah, I haven't heard of anybody getting, trafficked because of it, but I do like the fact now that people are seriously, are taking it seriously. Abduction, getting trafficked, getting dosed. My son was potentially dosed his freshman year, because he's like, I went from being buzzed to being hammered, not remember, blackout. So it was, his friends, he was fine. He was awake. He was moving around, but he was definitely just out of it. I'm like, next time, I told his friends, I go, next time you take someone to the hospital. I'm like, you don't know, if he's having an allergic reaction to it, you don't know what's going on. I mean, he may go to sleep and not wake up, whoever that person is. I know you were taking him, you put him in the shower. He was fine. And he was like, okay, I'm going to bed. I feel good. And that's it. I go, but I'm like, next time I go, if you're not sure, just get to the hospital, because, it's medication, right? You could have an adverse reaction to it no matter what it is. So, Josh, I think you froze. Did you?
No, I'm still here. I'm just sitting really still.
You're locked in, bro. That was crazy. That's awesome. I thought, man, that's a great. You can remember. I don't know if you saw the Vince Vaughn movie, Unfinished Business. Whenever he's on with his kids, all of a sudden he'd be like, and they're like, Daddy froze up again. So yeah. There are people out there who will just do stuff and not necessarily just stick around to, abduct you or rape you. They just want to just because they're minor sociopaths and they just want to be like, yeah, just dose that guy, fuck him or that girl and whatever. And then, they're just going to watch you just stumble around. So
yeah, Steve's got a story. He says, my brother was a good man. He let homeless people come into his home to feed them and let them take showers. He passed due to someone that robbed him putting fentanyl on his sandwich.
Holy crap, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, man, I am so sorry. Holy cow. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, here you have you know, a good person actually doing, what most people who say they're good people would never even imagine or do. Right? You see the people that go to the house, they're like, hey, you want, we're homeless or this, or immigrants, and like, yeah, sure, okay, you want to live? Yeah, okay. Could you take a few? Like those videos, whether real or staged. But yeah. Yeah, I hear you, Steve. Yeah. Glad you're here too.
Yeah.
Bro.
I mean, so going back to like, you can't trust people, right? So my wife's one of those people who, like we do stuff for homeless people all the time, right? Not to that point as Stu's brother, but we do stuff for them all the time. My wife went to go get this guy food one time, like fresh, from wherever she was at getting food. And the guy was like, I can't take that, not to be, no offense. He's like, but I've been poisoned so many times. He's like, I just don't take food from anybody anymore. He's like, I'd rather just dig it out of the trash. It's crazy. We lost your sound. Damian, you're muted again.
Okay. Oh. So yeah. So I'm sorry, say that again because you cut out, Josh.
Oh, I was saying people, the guy wouldn't take the food because people have tried to poison him multiple times.
Wow.
And so he was like, I just eat out of the trash now because it's safer.
Yeah. I get it.
And my wife was like, I understand. She was like, and I'm really sorry that that's happened.
Yeah. I mean, people are like animals, dude. I said, it's like, you can't trust anybody. And I know we want to, but if you don't know them, you can't trust them. And
it's crazy. Even people, a lot of times you can't trust, they say that, what is it? Like most assaults are by people that right?
Yeah. Well, yes.
So,
I mean, especially, sexual assault.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, those are people who have access to, you or your children, and, they're smart staying under the radar. But it's like, you're getting the things. I mean, especially with the ride share, it doesn't, I mean, the one thing I guess, with cabs and medallions, there's something there where, it was expensive. I mean, the medallion thing was just a ripoff from the beginning for these poor people in New York to have to pay like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars for a license to, drive a cab. And then Uber just came in, but, because he's like, people come in a lot in a position, Steve's like, sexual assault comes from people that are in power positions close to the people. Yeah, exactly. I mean, when we do our family safe program, and I hate plugging shit. Anyway, so we just kind of help, kids and, understand that, things like you should never be alone with an adult, no matter who the hell it is. Staying with the group and, things like that, because a lot of these people, it's like, if an adult should never ask you for something ever. That's it. It's just no, especially now that everybody's got a phone, right? It's like, your phone, dude, it's like, you don't need directions. You don't need anything. They don't need to know where they're going if they're looking for somebody. I'm like, they ask another adult. That's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I was living homeless for a day, in my training, like, we had to ask people for all kinds of stuff. And, I was like very particular about who I asked,
Right. Right.
Like, I'm not walking around like talking to kids or anything weird, It's like most of the people I talked to were like in a store and I'm talking to like the register person. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like, we call them safe strangers, right? So it's like people people who are supposed to be there. So when you're there, you're like people in uniform. We have a checklist for kids. It's like people in uniform. Law enforcement, store clerks, women with children, families. The last person you pick are like single guys. you know, the absolute last ones on the list.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fun. That seems to be you know, yeah, as part of that training, that's like, I guess, pretty standard, is you guys have to like find your way around and use the resources around you.
Yeah, it was an experience for sure.
Yeah, it's very Spartan-esque. Like, well, they didn't starve me, you know, but they kind of did. Yeah, well, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I got starved plenty, so.
Well, that was like sear and all that shit. Yeah, yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I just took care of my starving by having to make weight for 20 years. More than that. It's like, you ever starve yourself and go, oh yeah, for like months at a time. Like shit. That's why I still hate getting on scales forever. Doesn't matter. Why'd you go to scale? Fuck that. No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You know, because
just look in the mirror and I just know.
Right, exactly. Because every time I got on a scale from the age of 7 to the age of 39, it was telling me something I either wanted to know or didn't want to know. So there, on that note. So look, Steve wrote, I was homeless for 4 months and never asked anyone for anything and told anyone I knew. Yeah, right. I get that. You know, I hope it was someplace warmer where you were out and about. I just, yeah, man. But again, you know, you've got, Steve, it seems like you've got, been through some stuff, brother. And, you know, you seem to be, you know, doing the right thing here. Really glad you made it here. And, yeah, we'll be, you know, we'll be on again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Then we'll be off for a couple weeks for the holidays. Yep. Life is good, brother. So, yeah, don't forget, click the links below, for training for Bodyguard. You can hook up with Josh directly. And, yeah, so please, as always, thank you for your comments. Steve, again, thanks for finding us. Tom, always great to have you. Please still, you know, leave your comments. Again, if you want, like and subscribe. If you don't, that's cool too. Much appreciated. Again, check us out, as always, at myselfdefensetraining.com and bulletproofbodyguard.com. And yeah, until next time, everybody, you know, train honestly. Peace.